Hi, everyone. Welcome to my talk before lunch. Hopefully, it will keep you awake. I'm here to represent us, me and Sean, together on the projects we've worked on. We've worked on many projects on the Web3 space, in particular video games for kids, and also designing Metaverse for the K-pop community. So what does that mean? Sean is unfortunately cannot be here with us. He's dealing with, after a series of rainstorm in California, he has to deal with the flooding damage of his home. So hopefully he's all fine, but he's watching us here. And we collaborated and designed this content together and can't wait to show you. Designing the Metaverse is about enabling social relationship and making inclusive spaces for communities to thrive. And I'll talk about how do we make a shift and how do we propose to shift from technology-centered design to a more socially relationship-centered design. And there are stories of emerging technologies which are one of the proposing failed futures until one sticks. So a lot of these emerging technology will actually fail until one sticks around and change from hype to become the mainstream products. These are some of the failed technologies. As you remember, Segway are the one that people are saying that these are going to be the future of vehicles. We're going to not have cars anymore. Or the 3D TV or smart refrigerator that seems to be forever sticking into the CES show that, this is going to be the future of how we order food from our home, and the drones. And many of these have shown up in the last 20 years and how they're coming in and out of many situations. Some of them had come to an end, but some of them kind of come in and out. And one of them that I want to call to your attention in particular is about television. TV proposed lots of experience in many different situations. The technology itself actually came from the 1800s, late 1800s. And when they first started, on the top left here, they were considered as the rich man's toy. In the 30s, 40s, and 50s, that's when TV started becoming more popular. From being in the center of family life to businessman's watch, like here in the lower left, to the spaces in between where you can find TV. This is a cab in Tokyo where people are watching TV behind the cab seat, to become, again, Richmond's toy again. In the 1966, I think, someone invented a portable TV. And we are constantly trying to make sense of technology and see how it actually fits into our lives. And that is really interesting. And now, since we are so technology-focused, we were wondering, what if we're looking from outside in and just removing the technology and see what we find out in these contexts? If we remove it and we start to consider what is around technology, what starts to emerge here is really the themes of family, social dynamics, how they live and what matters to them during this time. We start to see how people are relating this technology in their own environment. If we decentered technology and we can start flipping the perspective and look at how people react to them and look at their emotions. This is a project called Immersion by Robbie Cooper, who's a photographer looking at how kids' emotions are like when they play video games. Turning the perspective inside out and showing us the impact of the participated in these spaces and how does it impact us physically in our bodies. And you can see their emotions ranging from, indifference, from contortion, the excitement of the games to like a complete loss or sadness, how technology has influenced our emotion. And when we pull out further, we are now not looking at the technology itself, but also what's really around it as well. This is a home, this is a domestic space, and everyone seems to be busy doing their own thing, minding their own business, into their own space. No one is really looking at this kid who's playing the video games. And that seems to be a space or bubbles that they're in. What are the kind of relationship we are bringing together? How spaces become the platform of experiences and relationship around it. There are so many people around this space, and there's so many stories for here to tell. And this is how we're starting to, look at the space differently as designers. What can we do in this space? Here's a quote from a young video game player. "I only play games to be with friends because playing by myself is lonely." And this is a study that was done before the pandemics. Kids do not like to play video games by themselves. They're usually playing with their friends remotely, in the physical space or remotely, but they're always communicating through a device, through either their phone or Messenger on their iPad. What is not here on this quote is that even when they're playing with their friends, they're really still talking with their friends and communicating constantly. So they're always socially or like mentally together in the space. And when they cannot do that, when they cannot communicate with their friends while they're playing games, they would just stop and quit the game. So making places and not spaces is what is one of the themes of this talk. Spaces become places when they become infused with goals, values, and intentions that occurs here. When these associations become seated with a specific location, gaming is no longer just a game. When I'm connected with my friends, I'm no longer just playing games. I want to be with people. How might we enable people to be socially connected while they cannot physically? This is a prominent theme or question during the pandemic, right? During that couple years, when we cannot reach people and see people physically, how can we still connect with them? Just to show you some of the most popular games in the Roblox platform, this is called Jailbreak, and in Jailbreak you can choose to be a prisoner or you can choose to be a cop. And if you choose to be a prisoner, you wake up in a prison and you're trying to escape, while as a cop you're reversing the role and you want to catch this prisoner. This is another game, or you can be teleported to a deserted island where a tornado comes and you just need to run to survive with a bunch of people. There's so many different examples of experiences you can have in this platform. So in the metaverse, gaming become a collection of experiences that you can sample. You can share an adventure together. You can compete, you can share obstacles, and you can just have fun hanging out in the space. There's another one I did not show here. It's called Adopt Me, which is basically you can adopt pets along the way in the metaverse. It's kind of silly, but I don't understand how kids work, but that seems to be something very popular. So it is not just how might we enable people to be socially connected while physically we cannot, but an additional question that comes out of it is, what are the kinds of connections people are able to foster, and what are they able to do with these types of connections? So let's look at how far we have come along. In Web 1.0, we are connecting informations. We're connecting all these different websites and things together and make that into things that people can access information. Web 2.0 is all about connecting people. It's all about social media. And then in the Web 3, I think the pandemic really fueled the growth of it, where the technology and digital tools really put people together to be more productive in the space. It is also about the convergence of physical and digital. So now I'm here talking physical in person. Sean is with me in the digital world. Even though I'm not in the metaverse interacting with him, I can still feel it, right? We're kind of in the 3.0 space right now. So it is becoming a more decentralized and open space. So I just talked about the big word, the metaverse. It is, again, about the convergence of digital and physical space. It's about connecting people, spaces, and things together. And in a world with shared social experiences, your identity really matters a lot. And we will talk about how a generic avatar is actually not going to be enough later on. So virtual real estate, it's kind of curious why this is happening in the metaverse. People are taking things so literally and just translate it into the metaverse. It is an attempt for people to understand the space, just like how we were showing you how TV works. People are attempting to make sense of it. This is how people are attempting to think, if I want to make money in the metaverse, what can I do? Maybe I can sell pixels on the screen and resell them, and buy them and resell them. This is just kind of like a land ownership is the very first step on people trying to make sense of this technology. From literal ownership in space, the property ownership, to this, Upon entering the metaverse, I don't know if any of you guys have tried it, once your avatar has dropped into the metaverse, you're kind of just wobbling, idling around like that, not doing anything. You're not going anywhere. You're making a decision of where to go, trying to find your way around. And this is what we call a transient space. It's not a permanent location that for you to build community at. It is just a transient space for you to get ready to the next space. And in the metaverse, there are a lot of waiting time where people or avatar are just waiting around, waiting to see what's coming next, which is interesting. And when we are together, how do we have conversations? And talk and chat will be one of the most obvious features to start with. And I'll go back to tell you what those hashtags is about. So text chat is a very social phenomenon, right? It is a very traditional medium of expressions, and it needs moderation for safe and trust and safety. Especially for kids under 13 years old, we want to make sure that they don't swear, they don't get exposed to bad words, they don't give people their address or social security number or personal information. So our tech, our developers, are putting a very robust chat filter on this chatting system. But what happened to it is whenever you do a typo as a kid or spelling error, you automatically get hashtagged. So that becomes a very frustrating experience for everyone. It's like, well, if I type something, my fat finger just like make a mistake, everything is hashtagged. I'm just going to leave and talk to my friends somewhere else. So that's not really a great way to go around this technology. Instead of chat, we can now start reimagining how might we allow players to really express themselves and connect with others without chatting or typing? We did emojis, could be one way to do it. This is an exploration of emoji, or actually emote, which is a dance move, which actually gets translated to the Lil Nas X concert in the platform, where when you click on one of these emotes, the character will start dancing, and without chatting, you're actually interacting with people next to you or the avatar next to you to kind of have these type of communications. In 2020, Lil Nas X was one of the most successful virtual concerts that has more than 33 million people attended to it. And just because it's virtual doesn't mean that it's less real. There's also the power of emotes as well. The more people clicking on a dance move, the bigger it becomes, that floats up to the top. It gives you a visual sense of community. And this is kind of how we can kind of connect people in the space. So instead of like, how might we allowing players to express themselves, to connect without chatting? Again, we have a deeper question here. How does this build a new kinds of communication and relationship that find purpose in the space? When a community is allowed to grow organically, you will start to see some unexpected content. This is not a game. This is designed or developed by a user. And I think this person could be a priest, but someone that are really religious, wanting to build a community, because this is a place, this is where people congregate, this is a manifestation of a community. People come here to connect, to socialize, to listen, and also even as a place to reflect and pray, which is interesting because this platform is, all the contents are created by the players, is not determined by a group of people. So if you have an idea of how to bring people together, you can put it out on the platform. As designer, we just kind of observe and see what are some of these social phenomena that we can leverage and continue to build on it. We also find politicians on our platform. This is a politician using a new medium to find his supporters, looking to form a community. And this guy is called Ellen Ellison, who's a politician that was running for US Congress. So, the ever-changing development of how people are coming together is always changing. So, as designers, in a way, we kind of need to be like paying attention to the space, and we're starting to realize just UX is not enough to build this community. We need to start thinking about community experience design instead of just user experience design. We kind of need to be more thoughtful, and I'll talk to you a little bit about how that really works. There's a switch from the utility of what a participant or user needs to effectively navigate an experience. to what the platform enables a community to achieve. So users and community. Within the community, your identity matters. Like I just said earlier, it may be obvious that gender during the sign-up flow is like an obvious thing. Just tell us if you're a male or female and we will serve you content. If you're a girl, we serve you girls' content. If you're a boy, we serve you more action content. And then during the research, during the study, the kids just do not like that. They're like, well, what if I don't want to tell you? What if I just want to be a Frankenstein? What if why do you need to know my gender? Like, kids are getting really aware of that now. And this idea of serving better content by recommending, the gender-related games seems to be kind of outdated. So by scaling back and making things more neutral, maybe you can just pretend to be, character A or character B without a gender. That we can serve you better content about how you behave in a game or how you play games, instead of just assigning a gender to you. The sense of community of K-pop is really prominent. In the K-pop community, the fandom of them is very, very different than the Western celebrities, like musicians and sports people. The K-pop fans are very global and diverse in terms of gender, culture, age, even the cultural background. And they're really known for their unity, with fans from all walks of life coming together to support the idol. And the K-pop community is very creative and also coded in a way. They have lots of physical merchandise, and this is why I want to bring this back to this metaverse. They already have a lot of physical merchandise, where on the left here you can see the hoodie, very subtle with just a line of lyrics that you would not know this is actually a BTS fan unless you're also a BTS fan yourself. And there was a fan who told us that she would get so excited when she see another person wearing that hoodie on the street and be like, I know what that means. And then she would throw him a wink or something to get that connection, right? So how do we create that type of moments back in the metaverse virtually? How does it mean when you can wave the light stick together during the concert to create that sense of community? And how do you make people feel that togetherness when they're sorting their idols cards? So what is it like to be a new member in the community? This is something that was a little surprising when I did the research, and this is from a player that says, sometimes I don't feel welcome. Like, if I don't have a good avatar, I get made fun of, or, I don't know the right terminology when I join. It makes me feel bad. So being unwelcome is something that is very important for designers to address. We don't want anyone to feel bullied or feeling an outsider. This is because that's why it is very important to make sure that they have a good experience designing the identity within the metaverse. A lot of kids spend a lot of time designing or dressing up the avatars just because they don't want to look like a bacon head, which is what it's called when you're a generic avatar in the Roblox platform. They would also spend a lot of money trying to get the right merchandise, getting the right items so the avatar looks unique. A well-placed button is not going to fix bullying. This is what we meant by, from a purely UI angle, to address this problem, it's not going to work. What do safe spaces look like for new members in the metaverse? And this is kind of our definition for CX. I'm just going to read it. CX considers the multitude of media, technologies, activities, and social cultural consideration that goes into creating a shared purpose, including the collective knowledge, shared histories, relationship, and meanings that are established in the digital placemaking. There's a lot to take in what I just said. Here are the 8 design principles of what we think community experience is different than UX UI. In user experience, we think about users. In community experience, we think about a group of people, community. CX has relationship. It's a dialogue between things with people, people with people. It's just a relationship of different things. UX has needs, like their user needs, and it's very clear what their needs are. And in CX, we have developments. Things happen over time, and it will emerge out of a dialogue, out of a situation that we have noticed, as opposed to just wants and needs or wants and desire. It's a collective engagement of things that emerge out of, just dialogue and conversation and maps of insights. UX has testing. CX is all about planting the seed and supporting the growth of it. It is not just a test from A to B. It is about how this thing progresses and what is coming out of that. So it's about the emergence instead of a hierarchy. Hierarchy is a very structural point of view. And versus emergence, it's like how things are coming together and coming apart. It's a lot more flexible and dynamic. In UX, we have consistency. It's always important to have clear language, like clear things about explaining certain things that are coming over and over again. In CX, we have adaptability. It is important to have a language that people are understanding, that is used by the community, that is more flexible instead of having things very consistent. The openness of CX is also important, where things are just open, that you allow things to come in and change things up. And UX is more about accessibility, making sure that certain people will be able to use them. It's not so much about usability. We're not launching a product. It's an ongoing thing. It's not something that is going from point A to point B. And the context of things. Context is about space around things. And CX, community design, is all about ecology. It's, again, about relationship of how things are relating, the interrelationship between people and things and their environments. The home, the iPads, the devices, the gaming system, and all of these things coming together. That's ecology. And within usability and participation, there's a lot of little sub-themes here. Again, UX is about clarity. CX is about looking at the relevant language. There are things that are reflecting about the community. And again, we are not launching something in the CX world. We're trying to catch what is the ongoing theme that is developing in the community. And the community is an evolving organism that changes over time. How might we as designers design a new ecosystem, a new business model, and new incentives for the community to create and thrive? What are some of the tools we can put in there for them to use? Sometimes we have to test and see if those are the things that they want to use. Maybe we would design some features that they would just ignore completely. And this is a BTS MV. I think the metaphor here is, in times like these, we'll get through everything together. It's beautiful. How might we see beyond the technologies and apply the new way of thinking to enable social relationships? How might we empower, not exploit, the communities in the metaverse, and to hold a safe space for conversation and experiments? How might we create opportunities for CX and not just UX? And how do we design places, not just places? Thank you.